to have a public information meeting to contemplate amendments to the land use bylaw and potentially the municipal planning strategy to contemplate accessory dwellings. The origin of this meeting stems from a motion out of the January 18th, 2022 special council meeting, and the motion read that municipal council instruct the CAO to have municipal staff prepare the following amendments to the municipal planning documents in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. And the first one is the enabling of accessory dwellings within growth centers. And that is the topic of this meeting today. The other options won't be discussed. Those are pursuing under other applications. So the purpose of a public information meeting is typically to go over the policies that we'll use to assess an application and to present the proposal. But this one is unlike other public information meetings in a couple of different ways. Firstly, it's not an application for a specific development. It would potentially be text amendments to land use bylaw for certain, and potentially the municipal planning strategy as well. This is also not a specific proposal. There may be many potential options and considerations that need to be taken into account with this particular project. So what this meeting is going to do is present what is currently enabled within the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw related to housing built forms. We'll present other options and other things to consider, and then seek feedback from the public. So in terms of our goals and objectives in the municipal planning strategy, under the theme of settlement, we're meant to concentrate new commercial and residential development in the growth centers. So this project specifically applies to increasing residential options in our growth centers, not in our rural areas, but in our growth centers. Part of that has to do with encouraging the efficiency of providing services, so specifically infrastructure related to water and sewer service. We're also meant to enable and encourage a diversity of housing throughout the region. So this application would contemplate different types of housing that are not currently enabled in our planning documents. Under the theme of healthy communities, we're meant to encourage housing that is healthy, affordable, sustainable, adequate, appropriate, safe, and accessible. In terms of what our land use bylaw currently permits for housing, in our residential 1-unit zone, the R1 zone, we permit 1 main unit and 1 secondary suite. A secondary suite is a defined term under our land use bylaw, but also under the building code, and it's limited particularly in terms of size. So we permit 1 dwelling per lot within the R1 zone, and we require 2,000 square feet of area per unit. Within our residential 1 and 2 unit zone, or our R2 zone, we permit 2 units within the dwelling without any restrictions on size for either unit. However, we only permit 1 dwelling per lot. So this means that both residential units need to be within the same structure. They need to be attached. In terms of density, we also require 2,000 square feet per unit. So we permit 1 unit and 2 unit dwellings within the R2 zone. Within our residential mixed density, or R3 zone, we permit up to 8 units per dwelling, and we enable multiple main dwellings per lot. So that would mean that on a lot having the appropriate lot area, an individual could build multiple 8-unit apartment buildings. The density is set at the same rate as the R1 and R2 zone at 2,000 square feet per unit. And the building types permitted are 1 units, 2 units, townhouses, and multi-unit dwellings. So a broad range of residential housing types. The R4 zone increases the density yet again, enabling 16 units per dwelling, multiple dwellings per lot, however at a higher density, requiring only 1,800 square feet per unit, and a broad range of housing types are also permitted: 1 units, 2 units, townhouses, and multi-unit dwellings. In terms of accessory dwellings, what is an accessory dwelling? So we often hear them called accessory dwelling units. Our planning regime in the County of Kings uses dwellings to refer to the building as opposed to a dwelling unit. So we would be calling them accessory dwellings, but they are colloquially known as accessory dwelling units. So what are they? They are an additional unit on the same lot as the main unit. including but not limited to secondary suites, which we've discussed. So these are limited in size. They're located within the dwelling, and the outward appearance of the dwelling typically is maintained as a one unit. We also hear out in the broader world, the concept of granny or garden flats or granny suites. These would be a separate building on the lot. So these would be multiple dwellings on each lot. So these can have a lot of additional characteristics and configurations. There are a lot of things to consider when contemplating permitting accessory dwellings. First is the type. So I'll go over a few different types. So the first one are interior units. So either they can be on an upper level or a lower level. So either above the main living area or within a basement area. They can also be attached side by side. So in this example, the property owners put an addition on the side of their existing house to create an additional unit. Another type is above a garage, for example. So similarly, this property owner put an apartment above their existing garage with a staircase access from the outside. And all of those previous types are enabled within our bylaws. If 2 units are permitted on the property, all of the ones I've just mentioned, interior units, are currently permitted. This too would also be permitted. This is a garage conversion. So these are situations where the garage has been made into living space as opposed to storage. There's another kind of garage conversion, which would be a detached garage conversion. So these are all detached garage conversions shown on this slide. And so that we have, this is the main matter that we are looking to discuss among potentially other expanded housing options in our planning documents. So one question that comes up a lot is why would we want to do accessory dwelling units? Why would we want to permit these? In 2021, the American Association of Retired Persons conducted a survey of people who had built accessory dwellings on their property, and they asked them why they did it. And the reasons ranged from providing a home for a loved one, so the ability to have an aging parent, or adult children living on the property, potentially to save up for their own home, or to downsize from their previous family home, or to have a space for guests, or to create a place for a caregiver to stay if the property owners are aging, to increase the value of their home, or to feel safer having someone living nearby, or to earn extra income. Some of the benefits of accessory dwellings include better service delivery through a gentle increase in density. So this would be the services of sewer and water. Having more ratepayers reduces the costs. Increased housing supply. So we are in a housing crisis in the province of Nova Scotia at the moment, and so we could definitely use more housing. It increases the assessment value per acre within our communities. It increases housing affordability through increased supply, provides opportunities for downsizing or aging in place, and it increases the diversity of housing. So other things that we may be considering through this process may be the total number of units on a lot. Maybe we should be contemplating more than one accessory dwelling per property. The total number of main buildings, which is related to the point above, increasing the total number of units on the property may increase the total number of structures, or maybe it wouldn't. These are things to consider. The size of the accessory dwelling. Many jurisdictions limit the size of an accessory dwelling to be smaller than the main dwelling. So that might be something we want to consider. Some jurisdictions require that the main unit be owner occupied and that it can't be rented out to another individual. We should also consider the minimum lot size. Currently within our lower density zones, the density is set at 2,000 square feet per unit. Maybe we should require that lots with accessory dwellings be larger than the typical lot. And some jurisdictions regulate the distance between the two units, so they require that they be 20 feet apart or 30 feet apart. The National Building Code will have certain controls on those considerations, but that may be something we want to codify as well. And that concludes my presentation. My contact information is on the screen. I would be happy to discuss any of these matters with a member of the public or take in feedback and listen to concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laura. We have one visitor with us this evening. Did you have any questions, Mr. Sylvia?
Yes, one question.
Maybe if you come up to the podium, I'll see if I